afternoon. This is breaking news on CNN Philippines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. The Office of the Ombudsman denies the appeal of former President Noynoy Aquino over his indictment in the Mamasapano clash. This effectively affirms the criminal charges against him. Our AC Nichols is on the phone to give us details about this. AC, tell us more.
That's right, Pia. The Ombudsman affirmed former President Noynoy Aquino's indictment over the 2015 Mamasapano clash. In a 27-page resolution, Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales said she finds no reason to reverse a previous ruling finding probable cause against Aquino for graft and usurpation of authority. The Ombudsman initially found Aquino liable for graft and usurpation of authority over the Mamasapano clash in June 2017. Now, Aquino appealed this decision through a motion for reconsideration. He argued that he was acting within the bounds of his powers and functions as President and Chief Executive. But the Ombudsman, in its resolution signed on September 11, 2017, affirmed its initial finding that Aquino is liable for former PNP Chief Alan Purisima's involvement in Oplan Exodus. Purisima was suspended at the time over a separate offense. The Ombudsman said Purisima would not have continued acting as PNP chief in relation to the Mamasapano operation or Oplan Exodus if it weren't for the complicity and influence of Aquino. Meantime, the Ombudsman also denied an appeal filed by complainant Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption. They wanted Aquino also indicted for reckless imprudence resulting to multiple homicides. So that appeal was also denied. Basically, there are no changes in the initial resolution or decision of the Ombudsman in terms of the Mamasapano clash and the liability of former President Noynoy Aquino. We got information that the graft and usurpation of authority cases could be filed at the Sandigan Bayan as soon as next week. Back to you.
AC Nichols there reporting. We're going to go back to AC in just a bit. But first, we'll speak right now on the phone to Abigail Valte. She is spokesperson for former President Noynoy Aquino. She was also his deputy spokesperson when he was still president. Ms. Valte, thank you very much for joining us right now.
Hi, Pia. Good afternoon.
Hi. Well, can you tell us first, there is supposed to, right now what's happening is that there is a meeting of the legal team together with the former president. Can you confirm that, ma'am?
Yes, Pia, that's correct. Former President Aquino is due to meet with his lawyers. If I'm not mistaken, the meeting is ongoing now. I spoke to him over the phone about an hour ago, and we did discuss some of the salient points of the decision of the Ombudsman denying the motion for partial reconsideration filed by the former president. Unfortunately, I can't give more details on that discussion except to say that the president will be consulting his lawyers on what the available legal remedies are to him.
Ms. Valte, the legal team is composed of, can you share that with us?
I think that's a matter of record, Pia, but I think that's Attorney Go and Attorney Umali.
All right. And in July 14, or I'm sorry, on July 14, when the announcement came out that the Ombudsman had ordered the former president charged, you released a statement. The second sentence of that statement said, and I quote, "An initial reading shows that there may have been a misappreciation of some facts surrounding the incident, leading to some erroneous conclusions." At this point, ma'am, are you standing by still this statement that you released back in July 14, on July 14?
Yes, certainly, Pia. That statement was in reference to some of the facts that were laid out by the Ombudsman in the first decision in this case, relative mainly to the involvement of then suspended PNP Chief Alan Purisima and the communications between him, the President, and the former SAF Commander Hitulio Napinas. Also, it was relative to the appreciation of the Ombudsman of those conversations, and especially highlighting the fact that it was clearly enunciated in all of the filings for this investigation that the former president gave clear and unequivocal instructions to the SAF commander and to former PNP Chief Purisima to coordinate with the PNP OIC, which was Dindo Espina at the time, as well as other cabinet secretaries, I think, including former DILG Secretary Mar Rojas and the Chief of Staff of the AFP at the time, which was, if I'm not mistaken,
Katapang, Gregorio Katapang.
Oh, correct, Katapang. There you go. Thank you, Pia.
Yes.
So it was that. It was that statement was made primarily to clarify around facts.
So you still say there was a misappreciation of the facts, in spite of the fact right now that you're saying that, yes, the President did speak to Purisima and asked him, who was then suspended, to still coordinate with the PNP hierarchy at the time.
Yes, not just Purisima, but also to Getulio Napinas.
All right. We hope to speak to you again within the day. Abigail Valte, spokesperson for former President Aquino. Thank you very much for joining us. We have right now on the line also our senior correspondent, Ina Andolong. And Ina, any reactions from Malacanang?
Well, Pia, no word yet from Malacanang regarding the Ombudsman's move affirming the filing of criminal charges against former President Benigno Noynoy Aquino over the Mamasapano incident. This development has not yet happened when the regular Malacanang press briefing happened earlier, so it was obviously not asked. President Duterte, though, does have an event later today where he will have a speech. The event celebrates the 24th anniversary of the office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, but knowing the President, who tends to discuss many things during his speeches, he may, if he wants to, give his thoughts on this development. Last July, President Duterte called the charge of usurpation of authority against Aquino silly and said that the Ombudsman's case against the former president is doomed to fail. President Duterte, a former prosecutor himself, said he sees Mr. Aquino being acquitted because Aquino should not be charged criminally. He stressed that a president, as head not just of the military but of all units in the executive department, has all the authority to seek the assistance of whomever he wants when enforcing the law. And in the case of the Mamasapano operation, he said then President Aquino could tap even then suspended PNP Chief Alan Purisima. So for now, Pia, we'll wait and see if President Duterte will be tackling this in his speech later this afternoon.
So, well, anyway, Ina, we're going to be monitoring that too along with you. Of course, the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process at the time, that was headed by Ging Deles. They were heavily involved in the Mamasapano incident at the time. That would be interesting. Ina Andolong there reporting from Malacanang. We're going to go first to a break. This is CNN Philippines Breaking News. President Aquino, former President Aquino, is going to be facing charges over the Mamasapano massacre that happened back in January 2015. That is the order. That is the decision of the Office of the Ombudsman. We'll be right back.